like a schedule how your brain works?
What happens with the brain? Otherwise, you get dopamine. Oh, this is love.
Oh my God.
We have to understand that we have to change brainwaves.
I want to hear from you, like, secrets, that you provide to those like top managers that nobody knows.
Where my business partner, who was my mentor, my best friend, thought it was an awesome idea to steal all my money and send me into a nervous breakdown and go through bankruptcy. Couldn't afford rent, couldn't afford food properly, my investment properties had gone, my girl had gone, I lost everything. If you get everything, then what?
Today's guest is Andy Murphy, a neuro-performance specialist with 20+ years experience in neuroscience and NLP, mentor to a hedge fund operators, royal families, family offices, and champion athletes. Today, we are diving into the real mechanics of the brain under the pressure and how to reset it to win without a burnout. Should I swallow it or?
You can't swallow gum, woman.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking.
No, just
okay.
chew it, just for a little bit, and then you're good.
Okay.
Just chew it.
It's so tasty.
Can you feel like like a little tingle?
A little bit.
Right.
Like a little stars are jumping on your tongue.
Little stars are jumping on your tongue. Exactly. But that fires neurotransmitters. That's the thing. So it literally, your brain will go. Yeah, that's the secret.
Where can you buy it?
These are on, but it's any nicotine gum. But this specifically is like organic. It's ethically sourced. It's real tobacco leaf, not synthetic.
Yeah.
So that's why.
I've noticed that we have amazing match.
Amazing match.
So it's Ukrainian flag, you have blue socks and having yellow suit.
Okay, we're good.
You feel comfortable?
I feel comfortable. I have to see if my brain is going to work on a Sunday morning.
Yeah. Do you have like a schedule how your brain works? I mean, during Sunday, during Monday,
Sundays off.
Sundays off.
Off. Because I power up again, for Monday.
Okay.
That's the thing. So because what happens with the brain, otherwise you get dopamine, that you get basically dopamine burnout. So if you've got so much going on in your brain, then you will literally overload your prefrontal cortex with dopamine, and it's just going to burn out. You have a reserve of dopamine. It's only this much. Right? And then if you've got a million different tasks that are happening, so this is why you shouldn't go on to, for example, your email first thing in the morning. You shouldn't go onto social media first thing in the morning, because those things are going to literally burn through dopamine, and you only have so much each day.
We're going to talk about it because
we can talk about it all. I think we just kind of did then.
Yeah, I want to hear from you, secrets, that you provide to those top managers that nobody knows. But guys, are we ready? Yes? Okay.
Sound good? Everything good? These mics are very nice. They are very nice, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's start. Hi, Andy. Thank you for being here. Quick question. You need to make a decision. Would you trust your guts or your thoughts? The brain or intuition?
I love this to start the podcast, Regina. I like this. It's a combination of both, and it has to be a combination of both. We need to engage the logic because we need to run through strategies, because every strategy or every option is a possibility. So we need to actually look at each possibility, and we do something called future pacing. So meaning, right? We forward the movie to the outcome. But each outcome, right, of whatever it is, whether you're about to run a trade, right, or you're about to bring on an investor, or you're about to launch a business, or you're about to make any decision, what happens is that it's state dependent. What does that mean?
What does it mean?
Well, right, I'll tell you. So what it means is that something I teach in my protocols is everything runs from a dominant emotion. It's what I call an emotional driver. So what that means is that if we're in a fearful emotion, and that's the dominant emotion is fear, then guess what happens? your perspective of the world is running from that dominant emotion. Your beliefs, your attitudes, the language, the focus, the expectation, how your behavior all runs from that dominant emotion, right? So if we're trying to start a business or an idea or make a trade or do a deal or outreach for somebody, the challenge is if we're running from this, well, the amygdala, the fight or flight response, but let's just call it fear as the emotion, then every decision that you're making about the future, right, or it's coming from that reactive place. That's not a good thing, right? Yeah. You're not going to make expansive decisions. So when we change the dominant emotion or we drive the emotion to be, let's just use the simple word confidence, right? Yeah. Right? Well, instantly, how's your perspective of the world? If you're from a fearful place, right? If you're from a confident, dominant place, you're going to see the world or perceive the world very, very differently. Your filter system in your brain is going to change, right? Your chemicals in your brain are going to change, right? Everything adjusts. So once we've changed the emotion, or what I call a alter ego or state, right? From there, that's when we start to logically go through decisions, right? Or outcomes. From there, once we've done that and we're in the right emotion, then what you're talking about is we have to tune in to our gut instinct. Yeah. And it is an instinct. But your instinct from an emotional response of fear, or your brain being in fight, flight, or freeze, and there is a fourth one, I'll tell you about that in a minute, but there is a fight, flight, or freeze, you're never going to make the right decision. You're just never going to, right? So we have to change the emotion. Yeah, we change the emotion, change the state, look at the logic, and then we tune in and check in with our instinct. If we check from our instinct for fear,
yeah, you're gonna just simply make the wrong decision. Yes. You're gonna take the wrong direction.
It's called potination. So it's like watching a horror movie. You might like these things.
No,
but I don't like these things.
It's too much stress in the life.
Right.
I do not watch horror
It's
movies.
pushing our nervous system into a bad place. But if you watching horror movies or something scary and you're in your house and maybe it's late at night and maybe it's dark. Well, what happens from there is, oh, what's that noise? Whoa, 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 whoa.
And you start to overthink, you start to be even more scary, your heart starts to beat. Yeah. And then you're just like, what to do?
Yeah, everything looks scary. Yeah. That's called potination, right? So by constantly learning to interrupt patterns, change the emotion, which is really changing our identity. Right? The identity that we're supposed to be building life from, business from. Well, we have a lot of these that people don't understand. And this is a key thing that I train neurology or CEOs, founders, hedge fund guys, whoever it is. It's the identity shift.
You are Andy with more than 20 years of experience in neuroscience and NLP.
Yes.
You've been doing martial arts since you was 9.
Yes.
You had incredible life story, and you was teaching and coaching in Hollywood MMA fighters.
Sure.
You was in bankruptcy.
Yes.
And now you're working with the ultra high net worth individuals, with family offices, with hedge fund managers, with royal families, and with elite athletes. Yeah. So tell me more about this wonderful journey, how this all started.
You're going to take me into there, are you? Okay, we can do it. We can do it. It's funny because originally, I don't know how my accent is these days, but originally I left the UK when I was 24 and I moved to Australia. Didn't know anyone, didn't have a job. I just went. Instinct. Right?
That's brave. That's super brave.
I think it's just being young, and it's also, there's the rebellious side of you. I think naivety is a good thing in a lot of ways when you're starting new ventures, new projects, right? And you're stepping into a different journey. It's because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So arrived in Australia. But it's funny how life synchronizes together, because I never done sales before, never done any type of psychology before, but somehow I got brought into that world, and I was trained by two of the best guys in the world in NLP type of sales, very technical, we could go deep into all subconscious stuff, massive persuasion, massive influence. And I got headhunted, got taken in by these guys and mentored. And
Sorry, who was those teachers? Do we know them?
No, you won't know them. They're very old school now, but I'm still, one of my original mentors passed away actually about a year ago, which was very, very sad. Peter Sivrite, and the other guy was called John Monaghan. They were the top sales guys in the world at the time for what we were selling. So, but that's what brought me into investment real estate. Got very good, very quick, one of the top guys in Aussie inside of 6 months, and we got headhunted to New Zealand. And that was going back in the day where the real estate was just, this is going back 2006, 2005. We're going back, I'm old, right? So what happened was I got brought in at that time, and we started doing investment real estate in New Zealand. And again, very good, very quick. Became a closer in multiple companies and headhunted to multiple companies and broke every record that there was in the industry. Then I got bored. So around 27, I got bored because things were too easy. And back then, I thought that was a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I thought ease was not, like, I wanted a constant challenge, right? I learned from then life can be easier. So from there, what happened was I had the great idea. My friend came back with a small little newspaper clipping from Dubai, the Worldwide Property Fair. And my brain went, I'm going to take Australian and New Zealand real estate to Dubai. Connected with an older gentleman who had worked with us, because I'd never put a business plan together.
Okay, but Andy, let me please return you to neurology.
Yes.
When did it started?
Well, the type of sales that I was getting taught was very deep psychological side. Okay. So I started to introduce combine the NLP stuff with neuroscience and business strategies once I got to LA. That was a big shift, because before that I was putting together a resort in Fiji when I was 27. That's why what happened. So I went for mentorship. This guy was kind of building a resort in Fiji, but then he knew who I was in the industry, so we combined. We put that project together, development company, and we did take that to Dubai. We were selling it down next to the Burj Khalifa, the Palms, when it was still off the plan.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
What happened then is we came back to New Zealand, 2000. Everything was great. 2008 happened. This is where the shift was. Because that's where my business partner, who was my mentor, my best friend, thought it was an awesome idea to steal all my money and send me into a nervous breakdown and go through bankruptcy. And you know what the crazy thing was? He showed me his boat that he bought with the money that he stole from me.
Are you kidding me?
I swear on my life. And he watched me, watched me literally. I couldn't afford rent, couldn't afford food properly. My investment properties had gone, my girl had gone. I lost everything, and he...
Why do people do it? I don't get it.
Psycho.
Maybe, but what did help you to get back on track?
Well, from there, I love that question, because it was kind of a pinnacle moment in my life. What happened is because of martial arts, again, it brought me back to my roots. And I ended up living with one of the top UFC coaches in his house, one of my best friends. And he kind of rebuilt me into MMA. So I was training, competing, just living like a madman. But what that did is it brought this alpha back out of me. And then it's funny again how the universe works. Because there was a pinnacle shift. I had a job interview and they wanted to fly me over to Hong Kong to work for one of the largest real estate developers in the world. But instead, my instinct was turn that down. I borrowed money and I flew to LA for 5 days from New Zealand for an NLP and training course.
And it changed your life completely.
Changed everything. So I went from selling to then rebuilding myself through all these skills. And then that's what I took into LA and moved into working with, like you said before, that was where I was working with world champion fighters. That's what took me into working with Hollywood directors. That's what took me into royalty. That's what took me into the entrepreneurs. And so all these years later, I couldn't find like classical protocols or systems or courses or degrees or anything that was kind of giving me what my skill set that I wanted. So that's where I combined the neuroscience, the NLP, and all the business strategies and developed all my own protocols. That's what I brought to the world.
Tell me more about this protocol, please. What is it about? How does it help to top players right now?
Sure. There's 10 different strategies, and when we're working with entrepreneurs, business owners, founders, or say hedge fund guys, finance guys, deal makers, it's really, I combine it in a triad. So we have subconscious sales and influence.
Yeah.
We have neuro-performance.
Yeah.
And we have blue ocean business strategy. That's the growth side. So the persuasion and influence is obviously, that's my background, right? The neuro-performance is where we're training the brain to respond at the highest level under the most amount of pressure.
That's my question. What is the brain? How would you explain it just to the kid, for example?
Sure. Best way to understand the brain is it's got three different main parts. It's not obviously this simple, but 3 different main parts. And you've got the conscious part and you've got your automatic part, which is your unconscious part. Also understand the brain works like a muscle. Okay, so neuroplasticity means the brain is malleable and it's changeable. Okay, when we understand it works like a muscle, then it means we have to do something what I call neuroconditioning, right? It means the pattern has to, it's like we're building muscle, we're hitting the gym. We have to repeat that behavior or that thought, feeling, or action again and again and again. So to put this in a context that people might understand, it's like people talk about visualization. Really, people don't know what that means, right? But you study F1 guys or fighter pilots, or it's the same with me with business, same with me with athletes. They're visual rehearsing every micro detail. Say a fighter pilot that literally... And so what this does is this goes from being conscious to unconscious or automated in the nervous system. That means they're not thinking. It's an automatic response when they're under absolute extreme pressure because you don't have time to make a decision. So this is the same when you're in a boardroom. It's the same when you're in a negotiation. It's the same when you have someone directly in front of you. So the results that people get, well, it's all of this that happens before it that allows someone to perform at that level when the heat and the pressure's on. That's what I do.
I see.
So let's talk about the 3 different parts. So we have the cortex, or the prefrontal cortex of the brain. It's the front bit of your brain. This is where it's like the CEO of your brain. It's where we make decisions. Then we have the middle part, which is the limbic system, which is where you have it's the emotional memory. And then you can go into the brainstem, which is what we have, which is basically your survival part of your brain. So, and then we have brain waves that we have to control. We have nervous systems that we have to control. And then we have to develop the neurology, right? So when people don't understand, when people talk about mindset, right? It makes me laugh, right? Because it's become such a kind of a cliche word these days. Like people
It
don't
is.
really know what it means, right? Because you have lots of life coaches and lots of hippie chicks in Bali using the word mindset, right? Nothing wrong with that.
What is mindset, or what is wrong with mindset?
Well, it's understand mindset is it's a perspective. It's like I was talking about that fear,
Yeah.
dominant fear response and your perspective of the world. Well, that is a mindset, right? It's a
Yeah.
state.
Yeah.
But people use this mindset as like a mental performance term, and it's really, it's like how detailed you really want to go, right? So I don't like to use the word mindset anymore. You know, even my podcast, you know, is called Neuro-performance, and we bring on a lot of the top guys in the world from business and everything else, and because it's that shift, and I know that's what you fascinates you.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot right now.
Right. And so what we've got to do is, as I say, we have to be in flow state, to be able to perform at the highest level no matter what is going on. We have to understand we are conditioning the neurology, we are we're training the nervous system, and we are learning to control brain waves.
Exactly. This is what I wanted to speak with you because, you know, I've been in sports since I was 6. I'm doing gym right now a lot, 3 times a week. I used to run. I used to do yoga challenges. So in different parts of my life, I'm just focusing on different disciplines, but still sport is part of my life forever.
Sure.
But for you as the neuroscience coach, and the person, what is your daily and weekly sessions, that you do for your brain to train it?
It's apparently a lot. I didn't know. I didn't realize. And I talk to people and I'm like, you don't do this stuff? Okay. So to wake up in the morning, well, as soon as I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I do is we have to understand that we have to change brain waves. So headphones go in my ears. I am now going through a sequence of mid-alpha, low-alpha, and then into mid-beta over a 30-minute cycle. What that does, then it puts my brain into a dominant brainwave. It puts my nervous system into parasympathetic. From there, I'm good. I can start the day doing whatever I'm doing. From there, then I'm actually doing probably 10 to 20 minutes of Kundalini breath work.
Wow.
That's the next step that I do.
Kundalini breath work.
Yeah, it's important. It's important for many different reasons, right? So that really what that does is bringing, from a science point of view, it's bringing oxygen into the brain. Right? There's many other reasons, but that's what it's doing from a science point of view. It's bringing oxygen into the brain. From there, what we're doing is we are then looking at my calendar, and I'm isolating very key meetings or clients, or as I say, we're launching a members club right now, so there's a lot of pressure to make this amazing for people. And so from there, what I'm doing is taking each one of these meetings, and like I spoke about that state, that future pacing, I'm building the entry point of that meeting where it's deep rapport, and I'm building the outcome of that meeting. So what that does is starts to train my filter system, my brain, my state connected to that meeting. So I'm automating when I go in there, it's gonna be kick-ass. Right?
Nice. So you like prepare yourself for this meeting to be amazing, and this is how you come to this already powerful with the full of emotions and the right attitude that you're gonna achieve what you're gonna achieve.
Yeah, exactly. But it's even more than that, because what I'm building in is all the times that you've performed, whether it's being on stage for 600 people and training them and doing hypnosis to 600 people in New York, or whether it's nailing a very, very important podcast interview, or whether it's closing like $100,000 deal, or whatever it is. You don't want to be thinking in that meeting. You want to be present with the client. You want to be reading the micro cues of that person in front of you.
Yeah.
And so you want your body
Yeah.
to take over.
Do you believe, Andy, that it's possible to reinstall our brain waves or just our brain as the latest iOS version? And how to do it fast?
I like that. Yeah, of course. That goes back to what you were saying, neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
The brain adapts and changes. Genetics change too, if you want to even go to that point. But the brain adapts and changes to whatever it is around them most. And so we could talk about this. Let's talk about mirror neurons.
Yeah.
Okay, mirror neurons are like the most beautiful thing. The most beautiful thing. And the way I teach them is through, well, it goes back to like this. It goes back to human beings are like, we're from tribes originally, right? We're very tribal. And how did we learn hunting techniques, fire skills? How did we learn this before verbal communication?
How did we, Andy?
Well, how we did is that we're basically watching, observing the person in absolute micro detail. So that means, and this is the same when we're talking about sales and everything else, but this is, the micro details are like somebody, like how does that person stand when they've got a spear? And do they stop breathing? Do they hold the breath? Is the breathing rate a different pattern? Where's the eyes focusing on? What are they thinking specifically in their head? This is how we elicit strategies. This is called modeling. So this is how we model. So this is how I take elite athletes to win gold, is because we're modeling the best times that they performed, or somebody who they admire, and we can break it down on video. We just did this for the triple jump gold medalist just before the Olympics, and the British champion. And again, it's those micro details. So we took that video, and we went through second by second with him on camera, and I'm like, well, what happens now? What thoughts happening? What feelings happening? What motion? What's his breathing rate? Where's his arm position? And he's telling me. So we're developing a strategy.
What to change in the exact moment to achieve the result.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's the same with business. So you could take Ray Dalio, you could take Warren Buffett, you could take someone who's performing on stage, and you can micro detail exactly what they're doing. From there, what we do is we install it in their brain. How we install it is, again, you can call it visualization, but it's so much deeper than that. You can call it hypnotherapy. You could call it that. I call it installing.
Okay.
So it's where we take the person, and then we're using certain breathing rates, we're using certain binaural beats or brain waves, we're dropping them into their body mind, right? So we change it into their subconscious. From there, I use specific language patterns, very specific visualizations to guide their neurology to install these patterns. That's how we build a peak state. That's how we install these key strategies. That's why I'm known as the fixer.
Yes.
Because I go in and fix people fast.
But what would you suggest to do people? For example, we are taking the man who is working 24/7, being quite successful, yeah? He's already successful, but still he has the burnout or he's stuck somewhere. And he needs to come back to this amazing state of mind and being sharper, to be sharper. What would you suggest to this person? Quick treatment.
Love it, love it, love it, love it. The first thing we got to do is become aware of our patterns. Because if you're automatically like reacting, or you're stressed, as soon as you wake up in the morning, if you're feeling stressed and anxiety, if you get in the car and that's when you get triggered, or you see your phone or an email go off and you get triggered, but you just, because you've got to do it, right? And you just go into it. Well, understand what emotion is driving that decision or that reaction to it. So the first thing is becoming aware. You just got to become aware of these patterns, these behaviors. How? Well, just by literally deciding I am going to become aware and not allowing that behavior or stress pattern to continue, it's called a pattern interrupt. It's like scratching the record, right? DJ, scratching the record, right?
Yeah.
So once we scratch the record, what that does is it gives us a space. That space, we can allow a different thought to come in, or we can point our focus in a different way. How we point our focus in a different way is internal dialogue, self-talk. So when someone's under, it's even like when we're in flow states, right? Big wave surfing. I always use this analogy, big wave surfing. I work with surfers too. But it's like big wave surfing, for example, it's like it doesn't matter the size of that wave, doesn't matter, right? It's like the person has to be in peak state. They already have to have trained themselves to be in peak state. And so because if they're not in peak state, you can't make these little micro decisions or micro shifts in that moment. You're going to react, right? So you have to become that consciously aware of what automatically is subconsciously playing.
Differentiate your subconsciousness from consciousness.
Beautiful.
To be awake and realize what's going on right now in this situation. And from this state of mind, when you analyzing your gut feeling and what is really going on, you're making the decision. Is it correct?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the conscious mind is the bit of the mind that me and you are talking in right now.
Yeah.
Right? Don't look at the hand, don't look at the hand. What are you looking at? Well, you kind of not, you're trying not to.
Because you sat and I was like, okay, I got it.
But look at the hand, right? So you become consciously aware of the hand.
Yeah.
The unconscious or subconscious mind we can call the body mind. That's the bit of your mind that blinks you, breathes you, affects your lymphatic system, your heart rate, also affects your behavior. If we're not consciously aware of what automatically is happening, it's like we're just going to go on constant repeat.
Yeah.
So we have to change it. Second step I would do is, again, to go back to mirror neurons. I would start absorbing yourself in people or environments that you want to become like. So put it in a different way, right? If you watched back to horror films. If you watched horror films every day for a month, how are you thinking by the end of the month?
Of course, you're gonna feel yourself as in horror movie, but we all live in a very stressful world. So that's why, as I told,
you don't do it.
I don't do it. I would rather, actually, I don't watch right now movies. Because I know that they're influencing my brain, my state, and I prefer right now to listen to the music. Actually, we're going to talk about it as well, because sound, it's such a powerful tool.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, or like speaking with people, about some topics. So because movies, it's great, but still they are giving us the fingerprint that been produced by somebody.
Sure. I love it. I'm going to tell you why I like movies.
Tell me.
Okay, I'll tell you in a second. So, and because I use movies a different way. So, what you do at that point with modeling or mirror neurons again, you might never train a day in your life. You go and hang around with athletes.
Yeah.
What are you going to start doing?
Yeah, you're going to run and try to be athlete as well.
If you've never drank a day in your life and never been around people, not partying, but different, like people who just start drinking in a pub, right, or something. What are you going to start doing?
You're going to just replicate the actions that your closest surrounding has.
Exactly. Same with billionaires. Might not become a billionaire, but you're going to be well on your way. But why? It's because of the conversations that these three different groups are having. It's their focus, the opportunities that come up, right? The emotion that the three different groups are going to be speaking about three different things, three different ways. So that's why I like movies. Let me explain. And I get what you're saying, because you're right. But I'm very careful. Very, very careful what I put in this brain, because I'm quite sensitive, right? So movies I use by looking through specific characters' version of reality. So, for example, have you ever seen the show Billions?
Yes.
Okay, right? Now, you might not want to be as crazy as Bobby Axelrod, probably not as dark and twisted, but if you like I became obsessed with the show Billions years ago. The reason is, one, there's a performance coach, two, there's traders, three, there's Bobby. Now there's all this shady stuff that they do that I'm not into, but Bobby Axelrod has a very certain view of the world. So I would isolate Bobby and I've watched this show like 100 times. So I'd isolate Bobby's perspective of decision making.
Yeah, and you're trying to replicate his character in your personal life.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite powerful.
Yes.
So if you want to become a millionaire, you can just watch videos or the movies with the characters you want to look like and be like. Obsessively.
This is the nature with any high performer in the world, right? We're all ADHD, we're all OCD, we're all maybe not D, but a lot of them is that disorder side. Yeah. But it's like massively obsessive, it's just that's the nature. You don't create a LeBron James or a Michael Jordan without being the outlier, without being that obsessive version of you. I've never interviewed, worked with anybody ever who is very successful and a billionaire, whoever it is, that isn't just obsessive
about what they do.
Yes. That's and also about like, generally obsessive. I help them switch off and also help them switch on, because a lot of these guys can't switch off at the end of the day.
How do you do it?
Again, it's state changing. So we teach them to step into a morning state, take a work state, a work to home state, an evening state.
Different stations.
Yeah, different stations, different balls of neurology, different versions, different hats that we put on, different roles that we play, connected to very specific trigger points. And so that can change who they are more automatically. But you have a lot of find a lot of things with these guys and girls is they can't switch off from business.
Yes, that's why I want to understand how those top players, you work with high net worth individuals, family offices, royal families, what unites all of those people in terms of the weakness? What is the weak point?
I like this question.
Thank you.
I like this question. So what's their weak points? They miss out on a lot on life. They miss out on life in a lot of ways.
Enjoyment of life.
Fulfillment. Unless they're getting it from their business, but then other parts of their life are getting sacrificed.
Yes.
So there's stages or cycles that people go through success. And from the outside world looking in, it's like, oh, they all want the cars, the houses, the money. You best be damn careful what you wish for, because it comes with consequences. It comes with biological consequences. It comes with time consequences. There's sacrifices to achieve everything. So it's like everyone wants to be a billionaire these days. I don't think you know what that means.
How do they feel like when they achieve this success? Because you see the people in their strongest moments and their weakest moments.
Yes. It's and we're all human. This is the other thing you got to understand. We're all human.
Yeah.
I interviewed Richard Wilson recently, and he has the largest family office club in the world. And we became good friends, and it's a great interview. And he's got his psychology from Harvard. He's much into biohacking. So it was such a great interview. He invited me to go to one of his events and stuff, which I'll be going to lots of his events next year. And he said, Andy, it's very interesting. He gives it, for a start, and he said this, he gives it, you're light years ahead of me in these protocols. I've just developed this stuff for myself, right? But he gives it, the people at the very top who do the personal development side of themselves and business, he gives it, they are so much more successful than everyone else. And he was like, if everyone did this, then they would be so much better in every aspect of their business, but so many of them don't.
What do they do?
What do they do? Who? The people, what do they do or what do they don't?
What do they do, those people, to stay at those top?
Yeah.
And the weakness. What is the weakness that unites them?
I love it. So what they do is at the top, again, they're obsessively learning.
Never stop, never stop.
Never stop.
Okay.
Because industries don't stop, cycles of the world don't stop. There's always something, and they always want to be at the cutting edge, or what we call the bleeding edge. It's not a cut, it's bleeding. They want to know what exactly that next level future trend is that they can move into, especially with stock picking or whatever this is. They want to know, so that they're obsessively learning what's happening. It could be geopolitics, it could be, they're obsessively learning. What's bad is that becomes a very addictive pattern, obsessively learning. Because there's so much, I don't understand how people get bored. How do people get bored? There's so much to do, right?
For me, it's 24 hours in a day. It's not enough. I'm serious.
Not enough.
I wish I could do more and more,
yeah.
because I have. And you said right, I don't understand how you can be bored with yourself, because you have so much information, you have so much things to be inspired by. Andy, let's talk about the sound. Okay. Sound, it's such a powerful tool. You know, I've been DJing, I finished the musician school. And when I'm DJing, I'm in my personal journey that I'm going through. And I'm also listening like every morning and the evening, different frequencies. And actually, I've done some studies on that as well. So I want to know from you, how do you use the sound for yourself, for your clients, and how the frequencies influence in our brain?
Yeah. This is a great one. I actually put an article around this, and it got like, I think it was like 70,000 views recently on LinkedIn, and it was about 432 hertz. And 432 hertz isn't a brainwave, it is a harmonic. It's also called the Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance is actually what the Earth is, the Earth's frequency. And so I listen to this at nighttime. I go to sleep listening to this because it's literally being in the Earth's frequency. So that for me allows me to be calm. It allows you to be in nature without being in nature. It allows you to, because I really like the city, like we're in London now, right? The city has its own frequency.
Oh yeah, in London you can feel this vibe that nobody ever sleep, everybody's moving, running. It's so hard to meet same-minded people because you're always busy. You have to. Here you have to.
It's the pace, right? But it's not. That's why you can go into nature. You go into a forest and you just go, right? Well, that's the Schumann resonance. That's 432 hertz. So if you can use these, just use them, right? Listen to them. It puts you all in different, and also somatics. Somatics, and everyone's seen this probably online, where you've got a black sheet of paper mat, and it's got iron filings all over it. Have you seen this?
Is it about?
No, it's about sound frequency. Yeah.
Okay.
So you've got iron filings all over this black mat.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they can do it with actually like a violin bow thing, or they can actually do it with just sound waves.
Yeah.
But literally, these iron filings are all scattered. They change the sound frequency. It literally, the iron filings go into three-dimensional geometric patterns, which is DNA. So what they know is that by sound waves literally change DNA structure. This is going to be the most cutting-edge thing that's going to be coming out in medicine.
I didn't ever heard about it.
It's somatics. It's wild.
I never heard about it.
So by understanding this, understanding that these sound frequencies have such a profound shift on these things, then you understand, so does it have a shift on our cells.
How can I try it? How people who are watching us can try it?
Literally, go to Spotify. check Regina out. But after you've done that, go to Spotify and go to 432 hertz. There's all of these
432, yes, I know.
432 hertz. There's all these different ones, 936s, but these are not brain waves. They're called harmonics. It's different. But so with the way I use with brain waves is use binaural beats, for example. We're using neurofeedback machines. Binaural beats create hemispheric alignment and then spike the frequency. With harmonics, they are literally like, as I say, they're just like, this is why you've ever seen Tibetan bowls that they use for thousands of years. They're for a reason. In India, if you look on YouTube, in India, they literally have videos in hospitals of them using sound frequency killing cancer cells. Actually, you can watch.
This is what I've read, this is what I've studied, that the sound can heal people from traumas, from the cancer, and from much more. This is such a powerful tool that is very underestimated. But this is something I'm thinking as well to implement into my DJ and music career and everything like that.
I think it's massively important. Massively important. Because you're healing them.
Yeah.
You're healing.
We all need to be healed, and I'm always saying that the music is my medicine.
You're right. The external world has limits. You can only push and acquire so many houses, cars. You can only buy all those things. And once you've done, then what?
You lose interest most probably, right? Or
your dopamine level drops. Dopamine is a brain chemical which people used to think was the like reward chemical. It's not the reward chemical. It's the motivation chemical. It motivates you. So we're all dopamine depleted, dopamine addicted. Dopamine does everything. And so once you've got, it's like I call it like a pleasureometer. If you get everything, then what? If you get it really young, this is why you work with next generation like kids who have come from a lot of wealth. And they don't know what to do with themselves because they've had all the cars, they've had all the experiences, and they've had it so young. They're like,
there is no sense for it anymore.
There's no there's no pleasure anymore. Well, there's pleasure actually, but there's no fulfillment from it. Pleasure gives it like temporary pleasure, right? So what I said is like the outside world has limitations. And he was like, it definitely is. I said, but the inner side, you can go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper forever. It's like you're constantly, it becomes very addictive, that feeling of deep meditation. It's such a nice place.
I know. To be honest, I've been meditating for more than 6 years for sure.
Awesome.
I do it on a regular basis, like every morning, sometimes in the evening. I'm feeling great afterwards. But of course, there is a lot of skepticism around it. So, Andy, could you explain like what is meditation?
Sure.
And what is the percentage of your man clients do meditate?
Sure, that's an interesting both of those terms. Meditation from a science point of view, we could look at it from brain health. Meditation shows that by meditating, what you're doing is you're literally creating gray matter in the brain. Gray matter is the healthy part of the brain. So you're literally multiplying gray matter in the brain. So just by meditating, you're actually creating massive brain health. What you're also doing with meditation is you're really learning to control your parasympathetic nervous system, your calm nervous system. You're really learning how to switch that on and off, right? Massively important. You're also learning how to control the length of focus.
That's an interesting one because I want to know if the meditation helps you to focus, be more focused.
Hugely, because what we're doing is learning to switch off this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, the little. We're learning to switch that off and become like present, which allows us to then step into flow states more, be present. So be present with business meetings or mergers or clients so you can actually read them correctly, right? So there's a million different benefits, but people don't understand what meditation is and also how to do it. And there's all these different types. I'm not really into meditation that I'm trying to make like my brain completely still.
How do you make it still?
Well, this is the thing. It's like, because I like to focus on doing different things.
Breath work,
circulating what you could call energy or just focus, all of these different things, which, and also we could talk about heart coherence and the neuroscience behind heart coherence, which is the ultimate. It's the ultimate tool. I teach to traders, teach to anyone who's under high stakes things.
Is it the one that you showed me?
It is the one that I showed you.
I have an idea.
Okay. What's your idea?
What if in the end of this podcast we can make this? It's gonna take what? Maybe 1 minute, maybe 3 minutes, right?
Whatever you want.
Because it's such a powerful tool.
Sure.
Since you showed me,
Sure.
I've tried it and it's really calms me down, brings me back to a normal, good state of mind, I would say.
Yes.
It's powerful.
Yes.
Shall we do it?
We can do that. We can do a whole bonus hypnosis install. We can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Whatever you want.
So watch until the end and we're gonna make it happen.
I'll show you how to calm like yourself down from anxiety within like a minute. And I'll also, maybe if we've got time, we can do it as a bonus, but how to really switch on into that absolute peak state, absolute dominance. What I call, for trading or for deal making, I call it a sniper state. So it's being a sniper. It's like, we're locked in.
I want to be a sniper, to be honest.
You already are a sniper, don't worry about it.
Okay, coming back to the question about the percentage of the man who is meditating from your clients.
Before and after. Before, 5%.
Okay.
After, 100%.
So let's say you have 100 people or less or more?
For the membership, I work with, no, I don't have that many on purpose because over the years, but I work with very select, privately, I work with very select people who work with me over 1 to 2 years where we go to do individual experiences. We can put you on neurofeedback machines. We can bring in doctors at the highest level. But we're doing coaching from week to week, day to day. And so I don't have all these people purposely. I'm also a little bit expensive. So it's not for everyone. And we can do rev shares with your fund growth, all these different stuffs. So the members club is going to be much more available to people. So that's where I'm going to be, guiding people, and they're not always going to have to work with me one-on-one at that level. They've got different ways to get interaction with me and courses and things. But we could change the term meditation, which comes with people don't quite understand it. I can literally give you an audio.
Yeah.
It's going to do all the work for you. It could set you up. It can be the sniper protocol. It could be whatever, but it literally will drop the brainwaves for you. It will install the visuals for you. It will do everything for you.
That's actually great because I know a lot of men who are super pragmatic, who are in business, and they don't believe all this spiritual stuff and meditations. That's why I wanted to ask you what kind of forms of rituals or methods do you use, but you already answered them. Maybe some of them we're gonna show in the end as a special.
But it doesn't have to come from a spiritual aspect. That's the thing. It doesn't have to. You could come from a place of, and there's no reason to. What the heck do I know? Could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
But from a purely neuro-performance aspect, then you got to understand that as I say, I got a quote from one of a billionaire who runs the largest family office club in the world, who's literally owns billionaires.com, and the point is, it's like it's not people's fault that they don't understand, like alpha guys, that they don't understand this. It's not their fault. It's just that they don't they're not at the cutting edge of what's happening with ultra high level performance. And that's the truth. It's like if no, I just take action, I do all this. You just don't understand what the elite level performers are actually doing. And that's all the difference is. You might be in the middle, that's okay.
Yeah.
But once you start hitting, and if you want to achieve this, understand that the world is so competitive. What you're wanting to do is the edge. You have to develop the edge. It's like when I've worked with world champion fighters, right? And UFC guys or whoever. Do you think they might all be at the same skill level?
For sure not.
Right. Well, they are, but not mentally.
Yeah, not mentally.
Not mentally. Physically, they're at the same skill level. But what's the difference that makes the difference? What's the difference that gives them that 1% that makes them the world champion? Well, it's not coming from physical assets. It's the ability to train, the ability to handle the weight of that pressure, right? In that moment.
Oh yeah. I do know it very well because I've been in ballroom dancing world since 6 years old.
Right.
I've been doing competitions almost every weekend.
Right.
And our teacher, she always trained us like to be prepared mentally. She always told us the words for each and every couple that only we would get it. So she had
trigger words, beautiful.
Yeah, and that's why every time when we were getting on the floor, we were so prepared, and it also not only depended on physical, obviously, preparation.
Sure.
So I do trust it as well a lot, and even in daily life, yeah.
Totally.
You told me just be yourself, just enjoy, just be ready, and everything will be fine.
Absolutely.
And, it's actually changing.
And me as a background, I was on the England team growing up in martial arts. I've competed like over 100 times. I literally fought well over 100 times, and it is that difference, right? It is that difference.
Yeah.
But if people have never experienced what it's like to perform under that weight, then they don't really understand what the edge is, and then they think it's just, and it's so outdated. This way of thinking, it's like it's kind of archaic. It's kind of dumb to think that the outside world is not even related to inner mastery, and that has nothing to do with spirituality. This is literally neuroscience, changing neurons, developing brain chemicals, developing automatic behaviors, responses. This is like it's the most cutting edge thing, and that what you'll see in the next X amount of years, it's just going to be normality, and the rest of the people that don't keep up are just going to be gone. You'll see it. I know, because this is the industry I work in, and it's just like it's precision, and even with like and this is why it's great for sports.
Yeah.
Because you know all this in sports, and it's like I've been around a lot of gymnasts.
So, Andy.
Yes.
You know, consistency is the key, right? This is what we all know. And for example, on my personal experience, sometimes I do want to do the things to go to the gym, but then of course your brain starts to compete with you and trying to find the reasons not to do what you have to do. So what is the consistency in terms of the brain, and why our brain is trying to avoid it as much as it could?
The brain is trying to avoid actually taking action for a few different reasons, but really it's constantly in a certainty. It wants certainty. It wants safety. And so when you're in an amygdala response, or a fight, flight, or freeze response, or your nervous system's a bit jacked up, your brain wants to keep you safe. It doesn't want to push you. It doesn't want to get you outside the cave, basically, if you're going back to tribal times. And so it's the same way as you're walking down a beach that you came to look at the sunset, but what happens is, think about where your focus is. when you're walking down the beach?
Yeah.
It's not on the sunset.
No.
No, it's on making sure that you're not in danger and there's no holes on the floor. So you're constantly looking at the floor. But it's a two-step process. You have to look at the floor to make sure you're safe and then look up. It's the same with getting to the gym, right? That little voice is going to go, well, why do you want to go and brutalize yourself, right? We don't want to do this. We don't want to do this. But that's not where growth happens. That's what neuroplasticity or change happens. That's not where we become the ultimate version of ourselves. That's why people work in a 9-to-5 world, right? Because they want that certainty. Entrepreneurs and high performers, we live outside of the certainty. So it's the discipline to go to the gym. It's the discipline to take that action. It's the discipline to do these routines.
Andy, having a question, do you think that discipline is something genetic, that people won the genetic lottery, or is it something that you have to train by yourself?
It's actually a bit of both. You've got something called the warrior gene, which is a gene. It's a whole thing I'll develop, I'll bring out around this, but there is a certain genetic makeup that is what creates Spartans. It is what creates billionaires. But also that discipline, it's like once you get in a comfort zone, you have to, it's very easy not to be disciplined. That's why a lot of people who have made a lot of money become big, fat, and lazy, because they're not in that hustle environment anymore, right? So the discipline is like everything. It's a muscle that constantly has to be built, constantly has to be worked on, has to be, right? So it's a combination of both.
Thank you very much. And I have an interesting topic about the love.
Love?
The love.
Okay.
So how does our brain understands it's in love? Not by emotions, but here.
Are you talking about the heart brain?
The heart brain.
Okay.
You tell me.
Well, they were talking about, this is what bleeds into the little exercises we might have time to do, right? So what happens is what they used to think is the brain had one directional communication over the rest of our body, to its organs, to its cells, right? That's what they used to think with old neuroscience. But it's simply not true with updated neuroscience. What they know now is it's a bidirectional communication. So what we talk about the heart brain or the chest brain or the body brain, depends on your ego and what words you want to use. If you don't want to use the word heart, it's okay, right? but it's literally the heart. It has 40,000 neurons like the head brain. It produces neurochemicals, neuropeptides, exactly like the head brain, right? Understand that first of all.
I want to understand, how does our brain understand that we are in love?
How does the brain understand?
Yes.
It's a chemical response, but it comes from a feeling, right? And the feeling is yes, it's lit up from our brain, but really it comes from our heart, right? So if you put ECG scanners on you, right, and you literally level out the frequency of the heart by using the word love, gratitude, thank you. This is all Andrew Huberman stuff. This is cutting edge neuroscience. So once you level off this frequency of the heart, the way I teach it is it communicates with the head or your fight, flight, or freeze response that you are safe. That then we can start to train. Right? From here, we make fast decision making. We make instinctual. That is also the feeling of love.
Okay, Andy. And when you just start to falling out of from love, there is a book of Frederick Backbeder that the love lasts 3 years. What do you think about it? How our brain starts to recognize we are falling out of love?
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't studied that concept, but let's think about it for a second. I don't know about that concept, meaning I believe that love it's a chemical connection with someone, It's also dopamine, which is created through novelty. So any relationship can get stale, can get boring, can become mundane, right? But if you're constantly keeping it like active, novel, new, exciting, then that feeling like is gonna keep going, right? You're gonna keep enjoying each other because it's constantly learning and growing together. I also believe it's the intention. People again are going to thinking love isn't love. People think love is really excitement because they meet someone and it's new and exciting. So we have something called oxytocin massively produced in the brain, which is the bonding chemical, right? So that's produced. It's new and exciting with the relationship. So suddenly, oh, this is love.
Yeah.
It's a definition. But that's not love.
How did you realize that you're in love with somebody?
How? Again, it's a knowing.
Okay, deep inside.
Deep inside, it's a knowing, right? It's a knowing.
So you cannot control it by head, by your thoughts and brain.
No.
It's something that comes from in.
I also believe it's like it's a universal. It's the only true emotion.
I see. And what does soulmates word and term mean to you? Do you have such a person or people in your life, Andy?
Soulmates. I think we can have different soulmates at different stages of our life. But I think it's like you want to go, this is like a deeper conversation. I believe in soul families. I believe in deeper soul connection. And this is like going way deeper.
Yeah, but what is for you soulmate connection?
Soulmate connection is a knowing of that other person. The moment you meet them, you know that you already know them. You already know them. There's not getting to know them. Everything is simple, it's easy, it's effortless. There's such a deep connection between two people that it just feels like I know this person.
Nice one. Do you think, Andy, that our brain can be reinstalled or how to say reset? Yeah. Do you think, Andy, our brain can be reset without using the therapy for 5 years?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Therapy and psychology and psychotherapy and all of these things are great tools, but this is my issue with traumas and talking about this. I have a big issue with not with the people who are psychologists and psychotherapists and stuff, but with a lot of the thing with the modality. Because if you have a trauma, for example, many traumas, you can have micro traumas. As an adult, you can have up to 300 micro traumas, like pinpricks in your nervous system, but which is a whole why we introduce neurofeedback. But the other side of it is, if you start talking about something that's painful in the past and you're going over and over and over and over a trauma, the brain builds that pattern. It builds that memory, which makes the trauma easier and easier to do. It's like building muscle, right? So we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is build that high performance version of you. This is what I call a resource state, the clear version of you. We build that as a muscle, and then we can go back and through NLP, through all these other strategies that I've got, we go and we can change the actual memory structure. There's actually 64 components of a memory. And we change the actual structure of the memory, re-encode it into the nervous system. Suddenly that you respond to that memory very, very differently. So trauma is like a slice. It's like a bang in the nervous system. But we change your perspective, we change the healing around it. So no, I've got people over abuse, like rape even, in a couple of sessions. I've also helped people with old business, like business failures or bankruptcy that happened to me. Again, you can retrain it very, very quickly.
Got it, Andy. You are a superhero.
Well, you're the one in a superhero outfit.
Thank you. So I want to know you a couple of quick questions before we end.
Sure.
If you would have 1 billion of pounds, how would you spend it in one day?
How would I spend it in one day? You'd go and find a multi-billionaire with the biggest impact and network possible that you can create huge ripples across the world with.
Good one. What is the one book that changed your life?
It's got to be probably Think and Grow Rich.
I
It's a classic
love
old
it.
one,
Yes.
but it's a goodie.
What is your mission in life?
Mission is to become the ultimate version of me so I can be at the level of my network and ability so I can create ripples through philanthropy across the world.
Thank you. If this chapter of your life had a title, what would that be?
That's a good question. Reignition.
What does it mean?
Means blasting off into the new.
Okay.
Reignition. Ignition. Reignition. Switching everything back on to take
that.
everything to a new level.
I love that. And what do you want to say and wish to people who are watching right now this podcast, and how do you want them to feel?
I want them to feel fulfilled and happy about whatever it is they're doing, and understand that in any moment of your life or business or career, there is always another level of fulfillment, another level of happiness, another level of success. You have to become that next level of you first.
Thank you very much, Andy.
My pleasure.
That was not just a story from you, but it was transformation. This is insights that I've never heard, and I'm sure the people who are watching us, they will be excited and will try those new methods that you explained during the interview. And I propose to make a 3-5 minutes meditations or protocols or sniper shots, you told.
Sniper shot.
And also, I want to ask you,
Yes.
can we provide, please, for our followers and viewers something as a gift?
A gift.
What would that be? Could you make this favor?
Just for you. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give people the right people. You can choose them. You can choose them, right? It depends on but you can choose them. I'll give them $1,000 session with me.
Wow, that's very powerful. Let's do it this way.
Okay.
You have to follow the Andy on Instagram. We're gonna add the link under the video. You have to follow this channel. You have to write the comments, or if you want, you can make the repost of this video, and you're gonna have the possibility, incredible possibility, to have the one session which costs £1,000 with Eddie Murphy, the neuro coach with 20 years of experience, who are making people smarter, richer, and better.